Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. So today we are going to start the free 16-hour TEFL course organized by Global Pass Foundation. So let me first share with you the slides of today's lesson, which is very important. It's the beginning of your career. If you want to be a teacher, so you should know about what are the approaches and the methods. So let me share with you first the slides, then we get started. Okay, just 1 second, please. Great. So I hope that you see my screen. So please, if you see my screen, you can type in the chat box on Facebook or Zoom. Okay. So do you see my full screen? Okay, I'm waiting for your answers. All right, thank you. So here, the majority said yes. Wonderful, thank you. Great, so this is the free 16 TEFL course from October 26th to 30th, 2020. So the first lesson, methods and approaches, or we can say approaches number one, then methods in teaching and learning. This event is going to take about 5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Every day at 8 p.m. is organized by Global Bass Foundation. So let me give you an idea, information about Global Bass Foundation. So Global Bass Foundation is a Moroccan non-profitable organization. It's a non-government organization, and it has two major purposes. Number one, to empower youth, young people, and number two, to empower educators, because teachers and students, they have a relationship. So Global Bus Foundation's aim is to empower both teachers and young people with the skills or with the necessary skills to help them flourish in their lives. So Global Bus Foundation offers courses, trainings, seminars, conferences. We have got the Rabat International Conference, seminars, web seminars or web webinars, and also in-class or in-class training. And we have taught and we have trained teachers not only in Morocco, but in Spain, Tunisia, Algeria, Turkey, Singapore, China, India, and in many other places. And we are very glad to let you know that we are in collaboration with many organizations. For example, here in Rabat, we are in partnership with the CASA Academy and the Canadian Academy. So next month, we are going to start the 120 hours. We have two courses, either in class, so you are going to come in Rabat and you study for 6 months. Every week, once, every Sunday from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. in Rabat at Chicago Academy. If you are a bit far from Rabat, and of course we have got international students from Iran, from Turkey, from Algeria, Tunisia, Lebanon, Argentina, Spain, India, Pakistan. Those who are very far, they can study also 120-hour TEFL course via Zoom. So you have two choices. Both they have got the same numbers, 120-hour TEFL course, but the difference, one is via Zoom and the other in class. Okay. Yes, Global Bus Foundation also offers free training and free courses. This one is free, but if you want the certificate and the package, which is about PDF books, as well as interesting articles about teaching English, or if you want to teach abroad, we can provide you with very important information. All right. So this is about Global Bass Foundation Morocco. Now, let me introduce myself as the trainer of this week's event. So my name is Hussein Kasiras. But before that, I would like from the audience, what do you know about the trainer? And if you have been ever trained by me, Mr. Hussein Kasiras, do you have any ideas? Yes, so it's a kind of guessing. Yes, please. I'm waiting for your answers, then we get started. So what do you know about the trainer? So Samira Munjim said international trainer. Thank you. Ilham Zgwini said, yes, sir, you studied in Cambridge University. Thank you. So I got my training certificate from this university, yeah. Omis Kapser, good. Liliana Lili said, I know that you are so famous. Thank you. Sinaha. Krishna Budk said, 13 years in English teaching. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so some of you have got some ideas about the trainer. Thanks a lot. Great. So let me provide you with more information. But before that, again, I would like to thank a lot those who are following us from more than 25 countries up to now, from Tunisia, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Algeria, Tunisia, Italy. Thank you so much for being our fans of Global Bass Foundation. Great. So Hussein Kasiras has been teaching English as a certified educator for more than 13 years. I've got a certificate of training. It's a I'm a Cambridge certified trainer at ITT Algeria and TESOL Academy in Rabat, Morocco. I got 2 master degrees, Master of Business Administration from Cardiff Metropolitan University and Master of Education from Rabat Mohammed V University here in Morocco. So Hussein Kasiras has been teaching business English in different prestigious colleges, such as Sunderland University, Yavi Hassan II, Mohammedia School of Engineers, ALC Rabat, and CPGO Saleh. Hussein Kasiras is the co-founder of Global Bass Foundation that aims at empowering both youth and educators. He's also the founder and director of Rabat International Conference on English Language Teaching. Hussein Kasiras has coached and trained both youth and teachers from Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Spain, and Turkey. And after 2 months, inshallah, I'm going to go to Poland for more training. So he was in charge of 2 projects, Yes Peace Project and Youth Empowerment Projects. He wrote a very interesting book about back preparation. It's for second back students. Hussein Kasiras also wrote several articles on business and English language teaching topics. And he conducts a research on quality education in Morocco. Thank you. Great. So let's see the program. So Global Bass Foundation organizes the free TESOL TEFL training course for future teachers. How many hours? 16. How many days? 5 days, from Monday to Friday. So the target population here is the free TESOL TEFL training course is designed not only to better help those interested in becoming teachers, but also novice teachers who want to brush up their teaching skills. The learning outcomes of this program, number 1, participants will learn the different approaches and methods of teaching and learning. Number 2, they will know about the roles teachers and students play in the classroom. Number 3, they will know how to motivate learners by using games, by using fun, engaging activities in EFL or EC classes. One of the best things to motivate your learners, use games. not only children who love games, but also adults, old people as well. Number 4, participants will be able to learn and practice, I underline practice, some digital tools to motivate learners. We are going to use technology in EFL classes. We are going to use some online games in EFL classes. We are going to use some technological tools to motivate, to engage, to create an enjoyable learning environment. And the last one, number 5, is that participants will be able to use the skills, the techniques, and strategies to teach grammar interactively and not traditionally, interactively, communicatively. So for number 1, lesson number 1 is today, we are going to study the methods, some methods, the major methods and approaches in teaching and learning. Lesson number 2, teachers' roles and students' different learning styles. How teachers act in the classroom, what are the jobs, what are the functions, what do teachers do in the classroom? And then we move to learners, to students, how they learn. What are the different learning styles? Visual, kinesthetic, auditory, many, learning styles. Okay, number 3, we are going to talk about classroom motivation, how to motivate students in your classes. We can use here fun games. I'm going to use the major and the most interesting games I use either with my students or with my trainees. And number 4, again, motivation. We can motivate through games or we can motivate using ICT, integration. What is ICT? Information Communication Technology. And the last one, we are going to teach grammar. What is grammar? What are the methods of teaching grammar? How do we teach grammar? Why we should teach grammar? What are the obstacles when you are teaching grammar? Are you going to give examples from the very beginning, or are you going to give the structure? What are the approaches, the methods you are going to use to teach grammar interactively? Okay, so the date from October 26th to 30th. And here we have the bio of the international trainer, Mr. Hussein Kasirazi. Great. And here we have some information. We will provide you with both the website of Global Plus Foundation, our email, and also the WhatsApp group if you want to get the PDF books, articles, and the certificate as well. And this is the certificate. By the end of the lesson, TEFL certificate. This is to certify that Muhammad, for example, has successfully completed the 16-hour TEFL course held by Global Bus Foundation. So it's going to be stamped and signed by Global Bus Foundation and the trainer, Hussein Kasiras, Cambridge certified trainer. Thank you. Great. Now let's get started. The aims of today's session, number 1, we will start with the introduction, about learning, about teaching. What is learning? What is teaching? What's the difference between learning naturally and learning in class? Okay. Then we have definitions of approaches, methods, techniques, procedures. They are very confusing, and sometimes we mix as if they are the same. Then we go deeper, the major approaches and methods. I have selected 5 approaches and methods that we are going to discuss in details. Good. Then observation. You cannot learn without observing others. You cannot learn without observing, experienced teachers. You cannot learn without observing people around you. So we are going to see a video and we are going to observe how the teacher teaches, how the teacher motivates, how the teacher creates a good and interesting, enjoyable learning environment. And of course, by the end of this presentation or workshop, some recommendations, very important notes that you have to take into account when you are learning and studying about approaches and methods. Okay, so are the aims clear so far? Please, if they are clear, we can move on to the next slide. So no questions so far about the aims of today's presentation? Thank you. So I'm following you on Facebook, so you can just write in the chat box, and I'm going to read your, yeah. So Layla Habibatullah said, yeah, all clear. Ilham Zgwini, yes, sir. Liliana, clear. Yunus Ashini, clear. Hasna Ubaha, yes, clear. Yunus, thank you. Yusuf, Muhammad Bizri, Asiya Filali, thank you. So let's move on to the next slide. Let's get started. Our future teachers today, you will rock it. You will know a lot of information. You will get a lot of skills. You will have a lot of, very important ideas about approaches and methods in teaching and learning. Great. Now, TEFL, TESL, and TESOL. When I train my students or my trainees or my novice teachers all the time, either they tell me or they call me or they text me. They say, teacher, I got confused. I don't know what's the meaning of TEFL. Some they say, teacher, I don't know what's the difference between TEFL, TESL, and TESOL. Others, they say, teacher, sir, I don't know which one is more important to get the TEFL certificate or TESL certificate or TESOL certificate. Others, they say, teacher, which one that will help me to get a good job abroad? Is it the TEFL certificate, TESL, or TESOL? Many interesting questions. Today, I'm going to explain all of them. So now, TEFL, the acronym definition, teaching English as a foreign language. In Morocco, English is taught as a foreign language. In Algeria, in Tunisia, in many other parts of the world, English is taught as a foreign language. In other countries, it is as a second language. Okay, so now here, TEFL teaching English as a foreign language. Where? If you get the certificate, where can you teach? It's a very good question. Where exactly? In India, in America, in London, the capital exactly, in Tokyo, Japan, in Rabat, Morocco, where? I'm going to explain more. So with the TEFL certification here, you can teach abroad. Where? In countries where English is not the native language, for example, Korea, China, Brazil, Morocco, etc. I'm sorry to tell you that it's very hard, and I can say it's impossible to get the TEFL certificate and you are Moroccan, or you are Algerian, or you are Indian, and to teach in the UK, or to teach in the USA, or to teach in Canada, because they ask and they need native speakers. But you can teach in countries where English is not the native language. The best example is Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Pakistan, etc. Great. So please don't tell me that I get the certificate TEFL from a UK university or from a UK center or from an American center in Washington or somewhere else, and you tell me that you are going to teach abroad in Canada, in America. I'm going to say it's impossible because you are not a native speaker. You are not an English native speaker. Great. Now, TESL stands for what? TESL is teaching English as a second language. As a second language. So here, TESOL certified teachers commonly teach in private native English language schools in English-speaking countries, such as Canada. So when you get the TESOL, yes, you can teach in the private sector, where? In Canada, in America, in the UK, for example, okay. However, if your English, if you are not a native speaker, I'm gonna say again, it's very hard. It's impossible. It's by experience I'm saying that. Now, TESOL is teaching English to speakers of other languages. So here, where can I teach? Well, it's like a TESOL certificate. A TESOL certification is often used for domestic at home teaching within English-speaking countries. So you can teach students at or in their houses, but could also be applicable internationally. So this is where English is not the native language, This is where in the private native English language, I mean TESOL. And TESOL, domestic. The place is domestic, at home, for example, at the company, etc. Great. Now, I'm going to tell you, don't worry, no problem. To get the TEFL or TESL or TESOL, they have got the same purpose, the same objective, the same goal, and the same aim, which is teaching English professionally. I'm not going to say as a second or as a foreign language. If you get these certificates, one of them, that means that you can teach English professionally. That means that you are a certified teacher. So please, no more questions. Which one is the best? Is it TEFL or TESL or TESOL? Okay, they have got the same purpose. Okay, no questions so far. Again, no comments. And let me read in the chat box. All right, so no question, no comments so far about these acronyms, TEFL, TESL, and TESOL. Great, so Chisam, as Harry said, clear enough. Lotfi, obvious, thank you, Hafsa. All right. Great. Thank you, Yunus Shini, okay. Great, so let's move on to the next slide. Now, why TEFL? Why you should get the TEFL certificate or TESL or TESOL? Number one, you gain knowledge. You know about how to teach grammar, how to teach reading, how to teach listening, how to correct students, how to motivate students. What are the stages of teaching? Reading, listening, writing, speaking. How can you correct? When to correct? Why correct? Knowledge and the skills required, very important things. So this is once you finish the TEFL training, you will get the skills and knowledge. Number two, you will make money, of course, because you will be a certified teacher. So you will teach and get money by the end of the month. It's your job. Number three, which is very important, you be qualified to work anywhere in the world. Me and I and other friends that I know, my colleagues, they teach in Tunisia, Algeria, Spain, India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, because they have got the TEFL certificate. So you can teach anywhere, but it depends on your profile. If you have got a good profile, you can teach. And we can help you, by the way, if you want to teach abroad, especially in Asia. We can help you there once you get the TEFL certificate. Great. Number four, which is very important, and it's my favorite, you experience new cultures. When you teach abroad, you exchange, you share your culture, and you learn about other cultures. It's very interesting. Number five, unknown opportunities. So when you go abroad, you don't know, you may get very interesting opportunities. You may learn, you may continue your studies, you may get very interesting jobs, you may meet very interesting and very helpful friends. Okay. Number six, CV builder. It's an added value to your CV. You become a certified teacher. So when you apply for a certain job, there is competition, but you overcome competition because you have got the skills and knowledge. Number seven, stand out in the job application. Now here in Morocco, many students who have got their BA, they are going to apply for teaching positions, working with the Moroccan government. Okay, the contractual exam or the contract exam. It's very interesting to get some knowledge and skills about what is teaching English. And number eight, it's rewarding. When you are helping humanity, when you are teaching English, you are teaching children, juniors, others, they are human beings. It's like give and take. It's rewarding because you help them, you will be helped by others. Number nine, do charity, improve someone else's life. You don't have to work only for number two. Go back to number two. You don't have to work only for number two, which is money, but there are some people, they need help because they don't have money. So you should from time to time to teach for free. Where? You can go to centers, childless centers. You can go to old people centers. Those who don't have money, you can teach them for free. You can do workshops for free. You can do webinars for free. You can participate in conferences for free. This is a great educator. You are not only working for money, but also for humanity. I can tell you that 80% for your personal benefits and 10 or 20 or 15% for the humanity. And the last one, which is number 10, get international work experience on your resume. If you want to teach abroad, the first question they will ask you, do you or have you got the two, knowledge and skills? If you get the knowledge and skills, means you have got the TEFL certificate. Okay, great. Any question about why we should get the TEFL certificate or the TEFL training? Any questions, please? Great, thank you. So let's move on to the next one. As here Mufaddal Lutfi said, to get insight into other cultures. Great. Thank you. I like it. Yeah. So let's move on to the next slide. Look here. The first question I would like to, to ask our international audience who are following us from more than 25 countries. Number one, how many languages do you speak and how did you learn them? Very important if you want to learn about how to teach English. Number two, what are the differences between learning a language naturally and learning it in a classroom? And number three, do we all learn at the same time, the same rate? If not, why not? Number four, what are the characteristics, the features of a good language learner? Future teachers, you will have future learners. What are the good characteristics of your future learners? And number five, why? Do some learners find it more difficult to learn a language than others? Why James learns quickly and Katharina very late? Why Bob learns or finds some difficulties, but Layla finds it easy? Okay, these are very interesting questions. So let's start with number one. I'm going to give you 1 minute. How many languages do you speak and how did you learn them? So you write your name and the number of the languages you speak. All right, so I'm waiting for your answers. You can write in the chat box. So let me read the chat box again. So Mutil Zarato said 4 languages. Muhammad Amouri, French, English, and I have learned by practice. Yusuf Manayu, 4 language. Hazar, 3 languages. Hasna, 3 languages. Saida, 4. Iljawi, Butali, Rabab, 3 languages. Okay. 8 Yaqub, Mulay Abdullah, 5 languages. Wonderful. Uthman, 3 languages. Dris Zniti, 1 language. I learned it at the faculty. Shayma, okay, 3 languages. Abi, 3 languages. Great. We have got a lot of learners here. They have got a lot of languages, by the way. Wonderful. Yes, others. Uthman, English and Arabic. Shayma Zaiji, 2 languages. Interesting. Halima, 4 languages, which are Arabic, Tamazight, French, and English. Bravo, great job. نفضل لطفي, 3 languages. Very interesting. Thank you. Saniha Krishna Budak, 2 languages. Wonderful. Michuyu Zalatu, 4 languages. Great. Hasna or Hassan, sorry, Afadas, Arabic, French, and English. Majouti Fatima Zahra, French by self-education. Wonderful. Very interesting. Now, how did you learn them? Give me just one example. How did you learn these languages? How? Yeah, any answers? Yes, please. Great. So let me read again what is written in the chat box. So Hasna said autonomously, wonderful. Uhud said at school. Rasha Ma said from school. Nizha at school. Hisham, imitation, great. Farida, Fridi, Shamazirtia, but how? Hana, watching movies. Hana bin Haymuda, great. Iksana Amira at school, great. Shayma from school, movies and music. Sanisha Krishna, books, great. Marwan Buzid, great. Wonderful. So some of you said at school, the majority said at school, some from movies, reading books, imitation. Wonderful. These are very interesting, ways of learning new languages. Okay. Yeah, I have got a lot of answers here. So reading all the time, Ismail said, Leila, Arabic, mother tongue, French, English, academically. Okay, great. So question number 2. What are the differences between learning a language naturally and learn it in a classroom? What's the difference between the two? Let me give you 1 minute. Can you think about and write again in the chat box on Facebook? Yes. So let me see again your answers. So you said it is called acquisition, listening to music, watching movies. Great. Okay. So Khadija Asfel said the level of formality is different. Great. Naturally by practice, without learning it, it's grammar. Ilyas and Phil said, Rasha, in classroom, we learn grammar. We learn naturally by exposure. Abi, great. Uthman, learning naturally means acquiring it consciously. When we learn it, naturally we lack some rules. Muhammad Bizri. Abdul Malik, great. Naturally means no stress, no anxiety. Great. Najwa, in class, we learn about language. Naturally means no hard work to acquire it. Great. Hajar, naturally, it's subconscious. Wonderful. Yeah, by the way, I have got a lot of answers here, but I can't read all of them. Sahar, Rami said learning naturally is done unconsciously. Great. So here the keyword is consciously or unconsciously. There is stress or no stress. There is an anxiety or no anxiety. Are you aware of your learning or you are not? In class or is outside the classroom? So what are the difference between learning a language naturally and learning it in classroom? Naturally is unconsciously. Okay. In classroom, etc. Okay. And there is stress. In the classroom, sometimes there is stress when you are learning a certain language. But when you are learning a language naturally, there is no stress, no anxiety. And I really like some of the answers here. Yeah. Number 3, do we all learn at the same rate? If you have 6 months for teaching level 1 of English, do you think that all learners will learn level 1 by the end of 6 months? They will learn level 1 at the same rate? If not, why not? Another question, very interesting. Please, can you write in the chat box again? So Bushra said, no, the age matter when it comes to the rate. Great. So the age, wonderful. No, it depends on the learning style. Hasna Ubaha said, great. Dris says, Nietzsche, learning we focus on accuracy, whereas naturally we ignore grammar mistakes. Very interesting. Yusuf, Manayu, of course, not because of intelligence, differences and backgrounds. Khadija said, no, it depends on the desire, the capacity, and the intelligence of each learner. Wonderful. Hassan, learning language naturally does not control you. Okay. Hajar, Guzil, no, because they have different learning styles. Abdul Latif, no, exactly, yeah. Great, so many answers. Do we all learn at the same rate? Of course. The right answer is no. The right answer is no, because our learners have got different learning styles, multiple intelligence. Some of them, they learn quickly. Some of them, they need to think and think. Some of them, they need to visualize things. Some of them, they want to use logic. Other learners, they want to use their body. They have to move. So we have got different learning styles. Kinesthetic learners, stand up, sit down, go to the board. They can learn by movements. They move a lot, then they can learn. Others are visual learners. They can learn if you use movies, pictures, charts, posters, etc. Other learners can learn better if you use music, listening, presentations. They are auditory and verbal learners. So we have got different learning styles. So they cannot learn at the same rate. The best teacher is an educator who can use and mix different techniques, different methods, different approaches to suit the different learning styles, to meet the different learning needs and wants. So please, again, all the time I say, I don't teach level 1. I don't teach level 2. I don't teach advanced or intermediate or beginner students. No, because if you say I teach beginner students, that means all of them have got the same level, which is beginning level. But we can say I teach 35 learners. I teach 35 or 30 or 15 learners with different learning styles. and your job is to cater for all these needs and wants. Great. Number 4, what are the characteristics of a good language learner? It's a very good question, especially for future teachers. Can you give me some features of good language learners again, please? Ilyas said a good listener. Iman, motivated. Bushra, read a lot, good listener. Wonderful. Practice their language with other people, okay. Rashid, attentive. Navdi, a good listener. Khadija, a good listener and a good reader. Wonderful. Samira, flexible, curious, motivated, open-minded, determined, willing to learn. All right. Uhud, self-motivated. Great. Lonilla, Matisse, time to learn. She said a good listener. Muhammad, having a good accent. Muhammad Bizri. Muhammad Akail, motivated. Uthman Okchuk, researcher. Wonderful. Exna Amir, interactive. Great. Karine Losis Makabandian, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name not correctly. It's a good listener. Wonderful. And here I like something very important that you talked about. All of you said good listener. I like it. But there are other characteristics. Why a good listener? Because our learners, they want to talk a lot more than to listen a lot. How many ears do we have? We have 2 ears. And how many mouths? 1. What does it mean? Which means for me, and I do believe that, listening is more, or it's much better or more important than talking. Listening is more important than talking. And let me share with you a story of Nelson Mandela. And I know some of you know who is Nelson Mandela. He was the leader from South Africa. One day a journalist asked him, what's the reason behind being a great leader? You are not a leader in South Africa, but you are a universal leader. And even in some studies, some universities, they study master and PhD about your characteristics. Nelson Mandela said, answered the journalist, when I was a child, I used to go with my dad. When I was a child, I used to go with my dad. And my dad was one of the member of the tribe, or the tribe member. Every weekend, they used to go to the forest and they sat together in a circle and they discussed the issues of the tribe, solutions, recommendations, suggestions. Nelson Mandela as a kid said, I observed everyone in the circle, all the members were talking and talking and talking. And I observed that my dad was the last one to talk. I observed that my dad was the last one to talk. Why? Because he was listening to the needs and wants of all the members. Then he had got the global idea. As a teacher, you should listen to your learners. You should listen to their needs and wants. You should inspire them to be good listeners. Why you should listen to your learners? Because basically, maybe their parents don't listen to them. Maybe people around them don't listen to their needs and wants. As a teacher, you have to listen to what they need and what they want. Okay, great. We can talk about being independent, learning by themselves. We can talk about punctuality, about commitment, being motivated, having a good vision, etc. So these are some of the characteristics. The last one, Why do some learners find it more difficult to learn a language than others? The last question. Yes, please. Any volunteer? And you can write in the chat box again. Yeah, I'm going to read your answers here, your comments, questions in the chat box. So Lugman Atamin said, yes, of course, my dear friend. He's a good leader in South Africa. Okay, great. Khadija said, we find what we love easy to be learned. Lok J Hu, sorry if I mispronounce your name. It depends on the student's cultural background. Lonilla said, we have different intelligence. Wonderful. Shaima, they lack trust. They are shy to make mistakes and they don't learn from their mistakes. Okay. Mutil Zalatu, individual differences. Great. Wonderful. Ilyas and Phil, it depends on the characteristics that each learner owns. So why some learners find it more difficult to learn a language than others? Yes, it depends on many aspects. Some learners, they need time to learn. They need time. If you give them the task and quickly you ask them for answers, they will not learn. Some learners, they find it difficult if they work alone because they want to work in groups. Some students, they find it difficult to learn because they feel shy, as some of you said. Some of them, they find it hard because they can't learn unless there is visuals. A video, a poster, a picture, a chart, etc. Okay. Some of them, they can learn if the instructions are clear, simple, and concise. Some, they find it very challenging to learn the language if the teacher focuses all the time on the same approaches, on the same methods. So there are many reasons here. And as Al-Habib said, because they have a black background about languages and sometimes they don't like just to keep on practicing because language needs practice and so on. Students most of the time are afraid to be embarrassed here. The teacher should train them to be flexible. Sukaina said, wonderful. Bushra or Muhammad, sorry, basically it depends on the nature of class, environment, and teacher personality. So it depends on the personality of learners. Wonderful. The next slide. Now, when you are teaching English as a foreign language or a second language, sometimes you get confused, or sometimes you use them as if they are the same. Technique, approach, method, and procedure. So what do we mean, or what's the difference between technique, approach, method, and procedure? Now, let's start with the first one. What is a technique, or what is an approach, or what is a method, or what is a procedure? Let's start with approach. What is an approach? Let me give you 1 minute. Can you write in the chat box? What is an approach? So here, Najwa said a set of assumptions. So an approach is a series or a set of assumptions. Ilyas, a theoretical method. Ilham, an approach is a way of looking at learning and teaching. Marwan, a set of assumptions. Great. Samira, theory. Akshina, Amir, way of learning. Lonilla, what we want to know. An approach. Good. Lotfi, such as communicative approach. Good is an example. Muhammad, an approach is a set of assumptions about the nature of language. Thank you, Muhammad. So it's an approach, is a set of assumptions, as some of you said, about the nature of language. Motil Zalato said, philosophical view of how a language is learned. Hisham Azarruq, an approach is how we see languages. Great. So the majority said a set of assumptions, about the nature of language. Great. Now, a method. What is a method? Can you write again in the chat box? What is a method? So Yusuf Slilim said theory approach. Then we find methods and techniques. Approach is a reducing way of theory. Hasna, a way of teaching. Ilham Zgwini, a way of teaching something. Marwan, that means that is used in language learning. Hafsa, a method is an overall plan to teaching. Yunus, a method is the language actual practice and implementation of an approach. Wonderful. The implementation of an approach. Muhammad Amouri is the application of a learning theory. Very interesting. Yusuf, the method is the sum of proposed ways of teaching. Great. Rahma said audiolingual method is as an example. Najwa, a set of techniques or procedures used systematically for teaching efficient learning. Yeah, so we will see later what do we mean by methods or a method. Now, techniques. What is the technique or what are the techniques? What do we mean by techniques again? Yes, the next slide we are going to explain all of them. Yes, please. Yeah, I'm still waiting for your answers. So, Muhammad, a technique is one single of a method. For example, PPP, presentation, practice, production, is one of the many techniques of the audiolingual. Zahar, Fachi, a method is a process or a technique used to teach. Najwa, a way of doing an activity or a method. Al-Habib, a method is a way of presenting something. Ruqayya is a single activity that comes from procedure. Lunilla, what materials? Hajar, Guzil, the personal style of the teacher. Rahma, tips or ways that we use them in teaching. I'm still reading your comments and answers. Hafsa, techniques are activities and tasks. Wonderful. The last one, procedures. What do we mean by procedures? Locke J. He said, I think all these are somehow interrelated. Yes, of course, they are interrelated. Wonderful. Rashid Dumi said, techniques are the methods of teaching a language. Very interesting. And by the way, they are very confusing terms in teaching English. So Rashid said procedures are the steps followed in teaching. Miriam Samud said procedure means process. Very interesting. Yes, others, what do you think? Fatima Chima, procedures are the stages of teaching. Jawad Abdrazak, steps we carry on in a lesson. Thank you, great. Nadia Shadi, classroom techniques, practices, and behaviors. Ahmed Salmi, the steps. Radwan, Ladam, set of steps. Great, very interesting explanation. So let's see the next slide, one by one. Look here, approach. So an approach is based on the general assumptions. So you start with assumptions, you assume about what language is and how learn a language takes place. You start with thinking, assuming about the nature of the language and how learning a language takes place. Richards and Rogers, 1986. What language is and how learning a language takes place. So the key word here is assumptions. You start with assuming. Next, it focuses on both the theory of language and the theory of learning. An approach starts with what? Assumptions about theory of language and theory of learning. So the concentration, the focus, the goal, the objective is on both the theory of language and the theory of learning. So here, an approach to language teaching describes what? 3 basic elements. Number 1, the nature of language. Number 2, how knowledge of a language is acquired. How do we acquire knowledge? How? What are the steps, the techniques, the ways? Number 3, and the conditions that promote the language acquisition. I can say here that an approach starts with the verb to assume. Then it focuses on the theory of language and the theory of learning. Is it clear so far? Then we can move on to the next concept. Yes, please. Is it clear so far? Then we can move on to the method. Rahma said yes. Abi, clear. Thank you. Great. Iman, yes. Thanks. Now let's move on to the next one. Now, a method. A method is a practical, there is practice. An approach, there is an assumption. Now, a method, there is practice. So a method is a practical implementation of an approach. It is a theory which is put into practice. So when we talk about a method, is a theory that you put it into actions, you put it into practice, and it includes decisions about what? Number 1, the particular skills to be taught. What are the skills that we need to teach? The roles of the teacher. What are the roles of the teacher that should play in the classroom? And the learner in language teaching and learning. So when we talk about the method, we are talking about what roles teachers play. How do students learn? Okay. And number 3, the appropriate procedures and techniques. The steps, the techniques, the ways. Number 4, the content to be taught. The theme, the topic, what are you going to teach? And it also involves a specific syllabus organization, choice of the materials that will boost learning, and the means to assess learners and evaluate teaching and learning. The keywords here, when we talk about a method, is practice, the practical implementation. You put a theory into actions, into practice, and we have skills, roles of teachers, different learning styles of learners, procedural techniques, content, syllabus, and materials. This is the method. Okay, next. And here, as Nizha Ikhlas said, the method focuses on how Learners learn the language. Great. The next one. Procedures. As Jeremy Harmer, 2001 said, he describes procedures as an ordered set of techniques. Procedures, when you have techniques and you have to put them into order, you have to organize them. So they are the step-by-step measures to execute a method. Step-by-step measures to execute a method. So a common procedure in grammar translation method. So grammar translation method, for example, is to start by explaining grammar rules and exemplifying these rules through sentences that the students then had to translate into their mother tongue. I give an example. I want to teach the simple past, or simple present, or any lesson about grammar. I have got some techniques. What is number one? I have to put them into order. So I'm going to teach simple past using the grammar translation method. The first technique is I'm going to provide them with the structure. Hello, my students, how are you? Great. Today we are going to start or to study the simple past. You know the simple past, and the teacher will write on the board. The simple past of regular verbs is verb plus ed, like play, played, study, studied. So you start with the structure. Then you move to examples. These are the ordered set of techniques. This is the procedures, or these are the procedures. Now, according to Harmer, a procedure is smaller than a method and larger than a technique. Great. Okay, the next one. Technique is implementing a procedure necessitates certain practices and behaviors that operate in teaching a language according to a particular method. So these practices and behaviors are the techniques that every procedure relies on. Techniques, for example, in this sense, are part and parcel of procedures. They are the actual moment-to-moment classroom steps that lead to a specified outcome. And every procedure is realized through a series of techniques. They could take the form of an exercise or just any activity that you have to do to complete a task. For example, I want to start my lesson and I want to get some information from my learners. So I can use elicitation technique. What do we mean by elicitation technique? And this question is for our international audience. I want to get some information from my learners about the importance of eating healthy food. How can I get information? I'm going to use elicitation technique. So what do we mean by elicitation technique exactly? Can you give me a good definition? Yes, please. So here we have Hana bin Haymoud to elicit answers from students. Lunilla from their experiments or life. Fatima, Chima, get information from students. Ridwan, elicit the answer from students. Eliciting information from learners. Ikhlas, eliciting means you show the pictures. Miri Ben, getting ideas and opinions from students about the topic. Hajar, ask questions to brainstorm ideas. Motil Zalatu giving authentic examples. Fatima, students help in building the lesson. Great. Iman, it is more student-centered. Karen, Lucy's, Makabandi, data collections. Great. Yeah, so elicitation is a technique. I want to get some information from my learners about the importance of eating healthy food. I'm going to ask them questions. For example, what do you think if you eat vegetables? How do you feel? Weak or strong? Passive or active? Tired or vital? So asking questions. Or I can use realia is a technique to get information, or I can use pictures to get more information, or I can use my body language to elicit more information. What is this? That's good. What is this? Strong. What is this? Oh, you are upset. You are angry. What is this? You are happy. Good. What is this? It's up. This is down. This is big. This is small. So you can use body language, visual aids, realia, asking questions, all these to elicit information from your learners. And then the learner becomes the center, not the teacher. The learner becomes the center of the learning process. Great. So here there is an example. When using videos, teachers often use a technique called silent viewing, which consists of playing the video with sound, without sound, asking students to figure out what the characters were saying. For example, I'm going to teach my learners about COVID-19, the negative effects of COVID-19. I'm going to start the video, but I'm going to mute, no sound, for 15 or 20 seconds. And I'm going to ask my students, can you guess, how do people feel in the beginning of the video? How do people react about this issue? What do people think about? They just have to guess. But I'm using a technique which is called silent viewing. And they are going to watch the video with no sound. It's a technique. After 20, they are going to use the sound and listen. Okay, is this clear about the technique so far? Then we can move on to the next one. Yes, please. Yes, please. Great. So now comments so far about techniques. If no comment, no question, we can move on to the next slide. So Ilhan said, yes, sir. Muhammad, yes. Thank you. All right, great. Fatima, great. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Here, this is the explanation. This is what I do with my trainees. Approaches, methods, procedures, techniques. We can start with the approach. The verb is to assume, assumptions. Then we move to the method, is the practical implementation. Is about putting theory into practice. Then we have procedures, order of techniques, the first one, the second. Then we have techniques, the ways, the tips you are going to use to motivate your learners. So it goes like this. We start with an approach, a method, procedure, and technique. So no comment about this This one? I guess now it's somehow clear and you are not confused about the 4 concepts. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next slide. No, an approach, it goes like this is a summary of the 4 terms. An approach informs methods with both theory of language and theory of learning. Okay. Methods are actual implementations of approaches. They are theories put into practice. Again, approach, the verb to assume. Methods, the verb to practice, to implement. Procedures, to order. Techniques, to put them into order. So procedures in turn are informed by methods. They are ordered steps or step-by-step events that have specified outcomes. And the procedures rely on techniques to achieve desired results. Okay, great. I think that's enough about the 4 concepts. The next one. Now, let's practice. Read the situations. Which one or which ones do you agree or disagree with? Which one, okay, do you agree or disagree with them? Number 1, Kevin. I do believe that the best approach to motivate learners to learn better is the communicative language teaching. It's the best of the best. Sophia, when teaching kids, I all the time rely on total physical response method to keep my learners engaged. They feel so excited. Hussein, I'm not in favor of any approach or method. No single one is the best or the right way. It really depends on your purpose of teaching and learning, the type of the lesson, the age of learners, the size of the classroom, etc. I would prefer to integrate more than one approach or method in a lesson or an activity. I want to give you, or I would like to give you 2 minutes. Which one do you agree or which ones do you agree with and disagree? 2 minutes, please. So here, Abi, I agree with Hussein. Fatima, the communicative approach is the most effective approach. Great. Amal, Gassim, Hussein, because learners are different in learning styles. Lonilla, the type of the lesson. Iman, I disagree with Kevin and Sophia. Hajar, I agree and disagree. Yeah, agree. This is called eclectic approach. Fatima, Thierry, I agree with the last one because there is no best or worst approach. Rashid, all of them have sense. Have. All right. Hasna Ubaha, I do agree with Hussein. As you already mentioned, we are teaching 35 learners with different learning styles. Thank you, Hasna. All right, so Miriam, Samouda, the third situation, Boujawi, Guchali, Rabab, I agree with Hussein. Hassan, I agree with Hussein. I disagree with Sophia. Ali Belmoussa, I agree with Hussein. Yes. Karen, Lucy, Makabandi, I agree with Hussein because as a teacher, you should have a variety of teaching methods. Ilham, I agree with Hussein because an effective teacher has to integrate different methods. Great. Locke, J, Hu. I disagree with Kevin and Sophia. I agree with Hussein. Great. Now, why? Why do you disagree with them? Some of you said because we have got different learning styles. Some of them said because it's boring to use the same approach all the time. I can say the best of the best is when you say there is no best approach. The best of the best is when you say there is no best method. The best of the best is when you say there is no best way. It depends. There are many situations, many considerations you have to take into account. When you are teaching learners, you have to take into account the age of learners, the size of the classroom. Are you teaching young learners, for example, juniors, children, or are you teaching adults, old people, etc.? Are you teaching small or big classes? The number, 15 or 30 or 40. The type of the lesson is also very important to take into account to choose the right approach or the best approach or to mix them, all of them, okay? So there are many considerations we as teachers, we have to take into account. I can say there is no best, no right approach. There is no perfect approach. All right, great. And here, as Hasna Ubah said, it depends on the level of learners. Great. Wonderful, thank you. Now, the next one. The feedback here about the three situations. There are lots of different methods and approaches, okay, to teaching, but no single one is the best or the right way. Some methods work for some people. If you use the TPR, total physical response, that we are going to study, yes, later, you will see that children get enthusiastic, motivated. So it's the best for them, for children. But maybe for adults, for old people, it's not the best way. So some methods work for some people and not for other people. The most important things to think about when you are deciding how to teach are, these are the considerations you have to take into account. Number one, what is the purpose of learning English? If the purpose is to communicate, then the methods you choose should facilitate this. If you want students to communicate language, to use the language communicatively, then you can use the communicative language approach. If you want students to focus only on the structure, only on grammar, on the form, then you can use the grammar translation method, etc. Okay. Number two, what works in a particular context? If an idea is based on a particular context, for example, the UK, the USA, etc., then it might not work in a different context. Example, Asia, Africa, unless it is modified, which means if you are teaching in your country, may not be the same way, the same things in other countries. I give you an example. If you teach in your country using all the time the blackboard or the whiteboard because you like materials and it's off in your country. In other countries, in Japan, if you use the blackboard, it's a disaster. It's not helpful for them. You can use the whiteboard from time to time, but they depend most of the time using technology in the classroom. And number three, what suits the teacher and his or her style. Different learning styles. If you are teaching 35 learners, you have different learning styles. So don't use the whiteboard all the time. Use the whiteboard role plays to move for kinesthetic learners. Use a video, a picture, a poster for visual learners. Invite them to give presentations for verbal learners. Use audios in your classes, listening for your auditory learners. Logical learners, problem-solving situations. Okay, so different learning styles you have to opt in your classes. Great. So no comments so far about this one? Then we can move on to the next slide. So Shayma Al-Annak said, informative and interesting presentation. Thanks, Hussein. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Shayma. Locke Jahi said, yeah, the purpose is very important. Great. Muhammad Bizr said, the purpose, context, and the style. Thank you. Great. Nizha Ikhlas said, I think we adopt these varieties of approaches. Wonderful. Iman says, so no comments, no question. Thank you. Fadwa said, no, thank you, no comments. Thanks. Great. So let's move on to the next slide. Now, we are going to compare and contrast the two approaches and methods, okay? So here, we can talk about grammar translation method and the direct method. But before compare and contrasting, I want you to give me some information about the direct method. What is the direct method? Sorry, the grammar translation method. What are the features, the characteristics of the grammar translation method? Yes. Can you please write in the chat box? So Hasna Ubaha said it's an old traditional method. Thank you. There is a keyword, old, traditional. Latifa, students are passive. Great. Nizha, it's called the classical method. Thank you. Ronilla Machis said face-to-face sound. And yes. Fatima, grammar translation method is a method which gives a great deal of the, yeah, right. Rashid said, Mulay Shakir, nice to follow your webinars. Hussein, thank you. It's my pleasure. Si Muhammad, direct method exposed. Yeah, a lot of, wow, a lot of, I mean here, feedback and comments. I can't read them. Thank you. Al-Habiba said, GTM is a method in which we can use the mother tongue. Great. Halima, GTM, the grammar is taught deductively. Khadija, it was used to teach Latin and Greek. Wonderful. Yeah, very interesting. I'm proud of you. I mean here, experienced or future teachers. So let's see here. What about the direct method? Then we can compare. Do you know any ideas about the direct method? So Abdul Malik Mouzoun said students learn a set of vocab through translating to first language. Or yeah, great. Mary Ben said no use of mother tongue. A very interesting point here. Khadija Al-Badrawi or Badrawi, it's a reaction to GTM. Good. It's against. I don't agree with you. The grammar translation method. Yes, sir. Muhammad Bizri. Direct method focuses on the target language. Great. So let me read again. All right. Fatima, visual aids are used to teach vocab. Mutil Zalatu, language is learned as a mother language acquired. Hasna focus on speaking and listening. Fatima, students are very active. Great. Muhammad, teacher in the direct method is a partner. Wonderful. Thank you. You have covered all the, the differences and similarities between the two. I like some of you said the teacher has got power in the grammar translation, method. And the direct method, students have got no power. Okay, great. Or the direct method, students have got power. They are like partners. Some they said that the focus is on the learner, while the grammar translation method, the focus is on the teacher. Some said that the grammar translation method focused on writing, etc. Great. So let's see here the differences between the two. Look here, a brief description and comparison and contrast. Now, when you want to talk and write about method approaches, there are very key elements: the teacher, the student, the teaching learning process, the language used, the interaction, communication, error correction, how to correct learners, when to correct, why correct, and the grammar, teaching grammar. So let's see here. The teacher has got power, is the leader, is the boss, is the man of knowledge, is the woman of knowledge, is the source of knowledge. I'm gonna provide you with the simple past, verb plus ed, the future is will plus infinitive. The continuous form is be plus verb plus ing. The teacher is everything. Now, the student is very passive. This is like this. The student is just swallowing information. The student is just listening. The student is just passive. The student is just imitating. The student is just following the leader who is the teacher. Okay. Everything that learners are going to learn will come from the mouth of the teacher. And the students are, the teacher is the spoon feeder. The teacher is going to take the bottle of knowledge and is going to pour like this in your mouth. This is the job of the teacher in the grammar translation method. Is going to take the spoon and put knowledge inside your mouth. Now, teaching learning process, how it goes on. The teacher uses translation and memorization. For example, if the teacher is going to teach the vocab about fruit or about classroom equipment, is going to say, in the classroom, we have got the bottle, the teacher's bottle. It's qanina. Translation in Arabic. The desk, al-maktab, okay. The walls, okay. The teacher, al-ustad, al-muallim, okay. I'm using here Arabic, translating. If you are teaching vegetables, at-tamatim, tomatoes, okay. Couscous, al-couscous, okay. Bread, al-khubz. Yes, you are translating everything. Then memorization. You ask your students to memorize. Khubz, bread, kanina, bottle, maktab, desk, and you teach them to memorize. Now, language used is your mother tongue. If your mother language is Arabic, you will teach everything using Arabic. If your mother tongue is French, you will use French when you are teaching English. If your mother tongue is German, you are going to teach English using German. Interaction. We have just one pattern of interaction, just one pattern, one level, one mode, which is teacher, student, teacher, student, teacher, Muhammad, teacher, Layla, teacher, Karima, teacher, James. So who is the center of the classroom or in the class? Who? The teacher. Who is the heart? The teacher. Who has got the power? The teacher. Who is the man of knowledge? Who knows it all? The teacher. And error correction. When we talk about grammar translation method, the teachers like doing like this, using GAN. If you make the mistake, you shoot, you correct. Immediately, you correct your learners. You don't give them time to help each other. You don't give them time to self-correct themselves. You don't give them time and provide them with some prompts to correct themselves. So very quickly, you correct them. The grammar is taught deductively. What do we mean by deductively here? Please, our international audience, what do we mean by teaching grammar? Because there is deductively and inductively. What is deductively? Yes, please. Can you write in the chat box? So here, Ridwan said, start with examples. Do you agree with Ridwan, Adam? Starting with examples. Fatima, it means giving the rules. Hajar, deductive starts from general rules to specific examples. Abi, giving the rule or form to students. Hasna Ubaha, deductive starts with the rule. Si Muhammad Bilmihi, explicitly. Wonderful is another term. Fatima Tima, at the beginning of the lesson. Iman, in a communicative way, you give them rules. Si Muhammad Bilmihi said. Rashar said teaching rules. Great. Yes. Deductively means you start with the form. You start with the structure. From the very beginning, you kill your learners. You don't care about improving their guesses, thinking, and visualizing and learning by themselves. From the very beginning, you start with the form, with the rule, with the structure. You teach, for example, the present perfect. And you tell them the present perfect is have or has plus past participle from the very beginning. That's why learners are passive. They're just listening, swallowing, getting information from you. Okay. Now, direct method. Direct method is against grammar translation. It's like Barcelona and Real Madrid. Real Madrid is GTM and Barcelona is DM. Or in Morocco, we have Wydad and Raja. GTM is Raja team, soccer team, and DM is Wydad soccer team. I don't agree. It's a reaction against the grammar translation method. Direct method says, no, I'm sorry. The teacher is not the boss. The teacher is not the leader. The teacher is not knowing it all. The teacher is not the source of information. We are partners. We are both contributing in the teaching and learning process. Okay. Now, the student is active. The student is participating. The student is learning. The student is contributing. The student is listening and speaking and writing and talking at the same time. Okay, great. Now, teaching learning process. Associating meaning with the target language. You put structure in context. You give them examples, paragraphs, text. But for grammar translation method, basically you give them the structure alone from the very beginning. Now, the language used, the grammar translation method, teachers use mother tongue. The direct method insists and says, no, it's a taboo, it's haram, no way to use the mother tongue. No way to use the mother tongue. It's like haram in Islam. It's a taboo if you use your mother language. If you are teaching English, use only English. If you are teaching Arabic, use only Arabic. If you are teaching German, Spanish, whatever the language is, use it only. Okay, great. Now, what about correction? Correcting students' mistakes. We said the grammar translation method teachers, they are like hunting. They are just waiting for your mistakes. Once you make the mistake, they correct. Now, for the direct method, no, we are just, the teacher is waiting. No problem. Make mistakes. Oh, we are teaching simple present. The student is going to say, for example, Muhammad play tennis. The grammar translation method teachers would say, no, we don't say Muhammad play tennis because the present he, she. We say Muhammad plays. Now look here, with the direct method, teachers say, Muhammad, yes, Muhammad play, remember, he, she. Look here, Muhammad studies English. Muhammad watches. So Muhammad, look here. Muhammad, there is the mistake. We can use fingers. Muhammad is correct. Play, no. Tennis is correct. So you are helping. You're giving prompts. You are guiding. So as students can correct themselves. So when I put down the finger, that shows the mistake, where the mistake is. Muhammad play tennis every day. Muhammad play tennis every day. So Muhammad play tennis every day. So there is the mistake. So these are one of the techniques we use to help students self-correct themselves. Okay, using fingers. But please be aware of using fingers because it depends on each culture. Some cultures using some gestures are very offensive. You see what I mean? Thank you. Okay, great. Grammar taught deductively in grammar translation method. Now for the direct method, it is taught inductively. Again, our audience, international audience, what do we mean by teaching grammar inductively? Yes, please. Can you write in the chat box? So here, Hasna Ubaha, contextualization. Thank you. There is a context. Great. Fatima, inductively means a teacher helps students to extract rules by themselves in a communicative way by giving examples and putting them in context. Thank you. Si Muhammad Bilmihi. In the direct method, the teacher teaches students grammar through examples. Perfect. Khadija, start from examples. Great. Yasir, Sarah, implicitly. Wonderful. Mary, great. So Mary lets students figure out the rules by themselves by giving them examples. Wonderful. Thank you. Lonilla, Matches. So after an example, students can comment. Great. So there are examples. Great. Thank you. So most of you talked about context, contextualization. I'm going to teach simple past. I played, I studied. I'm not going to tell them about the rule, but I'm going to put it in a conversation, in a paragraph, and students can observe the structure, can guess from context the tense of the lesson. Great. Is it clear so far? Then we can move on to the next slide. Yes, please. No comments so far, no questions. So we can move on to the next one. Thank you. So Fatima Chima said, yes, it's clear. Thanks. Great. Abi, clear. Fatima, Khitri, Lotfi. Thank you. So let's move on. Thanks a lot. Great. Next one. Communicative language teaching versus audiolingual method. Again, I would like to give you 2 minutes. Give me some characteristics of communicative language teaching approach. What do we mean by you take into account the teacher, the student, the learning process, teaching process, language use, etc. Communicative language. 2 minutes. So let me see here. We have Fatima, the role of the teacher is facilitator. Fatima bin Sayyid, the communicative language teaching is about how the language used. Great. Hasna, in communicative language, creating context is very important. Abi, using audios. Zalatu, we face a lot of challenges in case we teach inductively. Yeah, I agree. Teacher is no more than a facilitator. Halima Khandir said, Lara, Salvinia, you are explaining things clear. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lara. It's my pleasure. Fatima, good. Communicative language teaching focused on purposeful communication. Japonica said what it has to do with the consciousness raising theory. Thank you. Great. So let's see. What about the next one? What about audiolingual method? Yeah. Do you know some characteristics of audiolingual method? Yes, please. You can write again. Ismail Aqdim said dialogue. Hasna, meaning cannot be understood out of context. Iman is about behaviorism. Rashida, it focuses on the 4 language skills. Thank you. We have 4 language skills. Abi, the focus is on listening. Fatima, audiolingual method focuses on skills. Mary Moore focus is on listening and speaking. All right. So let's see now the description of the 2 approaches, the comparison. similarities, differences, contrast. Okay, great. So let's see here. Great. Now, communicative language teaching versus audiolingual method. The best way to learn approaches and methods is to compare and contrast. Now, let's see here. Communicative language teaching, here we can talk about the meaning and the form. How can you teach meaning? How can you teach form? We can teach meaning and form here using context. So meaning is essential. Meaning is the center. Meaning is the heart. Meaning is the focus. Meaning is number one for the communicative language teaching. When I want to teach the structure, the simple past, the simple present, vocab, words, I have to put them into context. It is contextualization. Grammar translation method, no, I don't care about contextualization. I don't care about context. I don't care about putting the structure in a paragraph in isolation for me. So, okay. But here, the meaning for communicative language is number one. Is number one. Dialogues. When we talk about dialogues, conversations, role plays are practiced. They depend heavily on using dialogues, conversations, role plays. For what? For practice. Practice what? Practicing the language interactively. Practicing the language communicatively. Practicing the language only for students. And the teacher is doing like this. The teacher is the guide. The teacher is the helper. The teacher is the facilitator. Great. Now, contextualization, as I said from the very beginning, is number one, a basic premise. Drilling may occur, but sometimes, like it depends from time to time, drilling. So it's not very important. Now, teacher and learner relationship between the two, because in the classroom we have got two key players: the teacher, learners, the guests, and the family members. You are the guest. Your students are the family members. You are the businessman. Your students are the customers. You are the father. Your students are your children. You are the mother. Your students are your kids. Now, the relationship is the teacher helps learners. The teacher helps. The teacher guides. The teacher prompts. The teacher facilitates. The teacher is behind the scene. The teacher is behind the scene. We are pushing learners to learn by themselves. We are pushing learners to acquire and learn the language by some help, some prompts. Okay. Now, language learning. How? Communicative language learning views language as a means of communication. I would like to underline communication. If you want to teach English using the communicative language teaching, the main objective is communication, Now, errors. Errors are part of learning. Don't worry, no problem. It's okay. It's natural. It's part of our everyday life. We don't care. So just make mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Now, as a teacher, you have to encourage your learners to participate. Once they participate, they make mistakes. If they make mistakes, it's your job to encourage learners. If other students make fun about others' mistakes, it's your job. Please, no way. I don't want someone to make fun of others. I don't want anyone here to make fun or to laugh at others' mistakes. They are part of learning. It's okay. Give them stories about you as a teacher. All the time, I tell them stories. When I was a kid, sorry, when I was a student, I made a lot of mistakes and students made fun of me. But at the end, I learned the language. Now I'm a teacher. If I didn't make mistakes, I wouldn't be a teacher. And by the way, I'm still making mistakes. It's okay. It's halal to make mistakes. So errors are part of learning. Great. Now, is it clear so far about the communicative language teaching? Then we can see what doing by audiolingual method. Yes, please. So let's see again your comments. So as I said, yes, it's clear. Thank you, sir. Wonderful. Great, thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Audiolingual method. Now, communicative language teaching, the meaning is number one. The meaning is number one. The form is number two. For audiolingual method, the form is important. The form is essential. The form is the center of learning. Now, here, for audiolingual method, dialogues for communicative language teaching is practice. This is a dialogue. Yes, please, my students, I want you to write a dialogue about how do you feel today? So ask, how are you? How do you feel? What's the matter? What's the problem? Okay. Practice for communicative language teaching. For audiolingual method, memorization, they have to memorize. They have to learn the dialogue by heart. Now, what about contextualization? Meaning, context. It's not important for audiolingual. It's not important to put the structure in context. No need. Drilling, repetition, drilling is very important. All the time when you teach, you drill with students. If you teach the simple pass, played, played, repeat, played, studied, taught, swam, repeat. Okay, it's a central technique, drilling, repetition. Now, the relationship between the teacher and learner, here we can talk about that the teacher controls learners. We can say that there is a similarity between grammar translation method and audiolingual method in terms of teacher's role in the classroom. Is the head, the boss. Now, language learning. For communicative language teaching is via communication. We communicate, then we can learn. Here is the structure, the form. We can learn using the structure. We can speak using the structure. We can communicate using the, so the structure is very, very essential. Errors carefully avoided. Teachers who opt for communicative language, or sorry, audio language method, they try to avoid mistakes carefully. All right, great. The next one. Here we have, Yusuf said, could you please explain more the meaning of the form? No, here we have the meaning and the form. The meaning and the form. So, for example, what is this? This is a bottle. The bottle. So the meaning is a container. Container. Okay. The meaning. Now the form. It's a noun. Okay, it's a noun. So you can write an example. I bought a bottle of mineral water. I bought a bottle, and you want to teach the vocab of bottle. You underline bottle and you go a little bit, there's a space on the board where you have to explain difficult vocab. So you can write a bottle. It's something about, it's something that contains liquids like water. This is the meaning. Then you can write between two brackets, it's N, it's noun. Then pronunciation, a bottle or a barrel, okay. A bottle, okay. So this is the meaning of the form. Now, if you want to use the communicative language teaching using the bottle or teaching the bottle, you can say, when it is hot, when it is very hot, I all the time buy bottles of mineral water. What is this? Context. There's an example. This is meaning. The meaning is put in context. I hope it's clear so far. Great. Now let's move on to the next one. Great. Now look at the picture. There's another approach, another method. Can you guess which approach or method does the teacher use? Look at the picture. Which approach or method does the teacher use? All right. Isam said TPR. Nizha, TPR. Latifa, Shakir, TPR. Ronilla, play and roll. Ronilla matches. Yusuf, the main of communicative language is to improve students' communicative competence. Great. Iman, TPR. Fatima, TPR. Mary, TPR. Huraya, TPR. Nizha, TPR. Wow, all of you said TPR. Aziz, TPR. No, I'm sorry. It's not TPR. Can you guess again? It's not TPR. Yes, what do you think? Yes, please. نفضل لطفي said TPR. حسنا said GDM, direct method. Hajar TPR. Hajar TPR. Said TPR. DM Muhammad Bizri said. Si Muhammad said silence method. Miriam audiolingual method. Tariq direct method. Lunilla non-communicative language. Role play, TPR. Lara silent way. I'm just kidding. I want to tease you. I want to trick you. This is what I do all the time with my students. It is TPR. When my students say, teacher, the passive play is played. Are you sure? Is it played? So what do you think? Yes. You say, oh, teacher, no, it's not played. It's playing. Yeah, playing good. Then I say, no, I was just kidding. You have to be sure about your answer. Tell me, teacher, no, don't believe in all what I said. I'm not all the time the source of knowledge, but you have to believe in your ideas, your capacities. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry for those who changed their minds. Some of you are laughing here. So please use it with your students and let them know that they shouldn't believe all the time in what the teacher says. You have to be sure about what you say. Everyone is laughing here in the chat box. Did you like this trick? Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, it's TPR, total physical response. So as a great teacher, you should have a sense of humor from time to time with your learners. Okay, great. So here, great. So let's see here. Just 1 second. You are going to watch a video about a teacher who is teaching, okay, his kids. And I want you to comment on the teacher's job, on the student's role in the classroom, and on the learning, the teaching learning environment in the classroom. So you can comment on the teacher, you can comment on the students, you can comment on the learning environment in the classroom, and you can comment on the characteristics of TPR. What is TPR exactly about? So let me stop sharing, and then we can watch the video. Are the questions clear so far? Teacher, students, the classroom environment or atmosphere, the learning, okay, process, etc. So let me stop sharing first, and then we share again. Okay, just 1 second. And here you go. So let's watch this video. Can you see my slide? Is it full screen? Great, so let's get started.
Grammarly helps make your writing clear and concise, no matter where you are. Compose a cover letter that stands out, thanks to flawless writing and compelling word choice. Inspire your team with a presentation.
So let me repeat again. There's something wrong with the video. Okay, just 1 second, please. All right, I'm gonna share it right now. So.
Stand up, very good, and sit down. And stand up, stand up, stand up, and sit down, sit down, sit down. Very good, very good. Please stand up, stand up, stand up. And, I didn't say sit down, did I? I didn't.
Okay, sorry. Some of you said, can you repeat the questions? Number one, you have to comment on the teacher's role, the student's way of learning, the environment in the classroom. How is it? Okay. And you can talk about the techniques that the teacher used to motivate his or her, yes, his learners. Okay, great. So let's start again.
And please sit down, sit down, sit down. Very good. And stand up, stand up, stand up. Very good, very good. Okay, can you show me how to walk? Do you know how to walk? You walk like this. Ready? Just chest out, and we go, and we walk left, right, left. We're going to walk around the room. That's my bottom. Okay, we walk around the room. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. And let's walk, 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 and stop. And sit down. Very good. And stand up, stand up, stand up. Very good. Can you show me how to swim? Do you know how to swim? How do you swim? You swim like this. Yeah. You swim like this. Yeah. So let's swim around the room. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Let's swim, 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 and swim quickly, swim quickly, swim, 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 swim quickly, and stop. And sit down. Very good. And stand up. Very good, very good. Now, can you show me how to fly? How do you fly? How do you fly? Like this. You can fly. Yeah, fly. So are we ready? Okay, let's ready, steady, go. Let's fly, 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 and stop. And sit down. Very good. And stand up. Very good. Hold hands in a circle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Let's get smaller.
Great. So let's get started again. Remember the questions. So let me share the slides. So from this video, what do you know about TPR? And here some of you said, Fatima, teacher is very active. He should have a shower after this class. Yeah, I agree. I enjoy the atmosphere, more fun using gestures and body language. Iman said, I enjoyed the video. Thank you. Samira, teaching is done through activity or activities. Muhammad, speech and action are important in TPR. Uthman, teacher creates a humorous environment for learning. He demonstrates the meaning of language through physical activities. Abi, the teacher is a model. Ahmed Aidada, okay, learning by doing. Wonderful. Lunilla, sports in education. Thank you. Yes, so here we can say that the students are very active. The teacher is also very active. Students are imitating imitating the teacher. And the teacher is using his body language, using the body language, movement, moving a lot. It's learning by doing. Great. So here Shayma said teachers should be active in the classroom. Okay, he teaches new terms by demonstration actions in a funny environment. Fatima, Indi, okay. Great. Noor Huda, teacher use body language, present the activity in a funny way. So how about the environment? Is it a serious learning environment or an enjoyable learning environment? What do you think? So Fatima Chima said the teacher is trying to create a coordination between speech and actions. Great. Lara Slovenia said physical actions. Teacher is a partner here. Ilham Zgwini said. Hasna Ubaha, fun learning environment. Ilham. Good. Iman, so enjoyable. Yunus. Or Leila, students are active. Teacher uses body language. Great. So the environment or the learning environment is very enjoyable. Funny, there is learning. Behind fun, there is learning. Yeah, and some of you here, Nizha, said imitation is highly recommended. So they imitate their teacher. Great. So let's see here the characteristics. Look here. Now, I can say that total physical response, the characteristics are the coordination of speech and actions, as some of you said. The teacher speaks, students practice, act. So speak, act. We can talk about listen, watch, talk. Students listen, students watch, and then talk. So listen and watch. Students listen to the teacher, watch the teacher, and then students talk. Learners play roles of listener and performer. Active listening, they listen a lot and they perform a lot. Learners monitor, observe, and evaluate their own progress. Okay. Reading and writing is taught after grammar. Okay. Reading and writing is taught after grammar and vocab. You are talking about the skills. And here for number 3, Learners monitor and evaluate their own progress. We can say here that learners don't monitor. There is the missing not. Do not monitor or evaluate their own progress because they don't know if they are learning. Okay. And here, reading and writing skills, they are taught, okay, after grammar and vocab. Grammar is taught inductively, using examples, imitation. Learning a language by gesture. Okay, learning a language by gesture. Yes, please, do you see the slides? Can you see my slides? Yes, please. Can you write in the chat box? So let's try again. Yes. All right. Great. Yeah. Now, yes, reading and writing are taught after grammar and vocab. Grammar is taught inductively. It's against grammar translation method. We have to provide them with the body language, context, etc. Learning language by gesture, imitation, body movements. The teacher and students are actors. The teacher is the trainer. Students are players. Okay, so they watch, perform. Students should be more active and talkative. They have to move and talk a lot. Okay, and some of you said by the end of the lesson, when you are adopting TPR, you should take a shower. So if you don't love teaching, if you don't love kids, don't opt for TPR. Okay. Total physical response. Is it clear so far? Yes, please. No questions so far? Yes, please. Great. So let's move on to the next slide. All right. Great. The next slide is recommendations. Now here, please. Just 1 second. Let me see if you can see my slides. Can you see my slides, please? Great. So here, recommendations. Sorry. Thank you. So some comments here said, how's an interesting explanation? Thanks. Namir said, Al-Hussein. All right, thank you. Great, good. So here, recommendations, please never forget that learning how to teach, number one, takes time. How to teach English takes time, takes practice, and is an ongoing process. Please, when you are teaching your learners, they need time to learn. They may make mistakes today, but tomorrow with the next lesson, they may learn. They may make mistakes this lesson, the next lesson, the third lesson, but after practice, they know about their mistakes and they learn. So learning is a process. When you are teaching simple present, don't expect that your learners will learn the simple present he, she, it, s, es, or ies in one session. They need to practice more and more, and it's a learning process. Next time, next week, next month, next year, then they can learn. It's a long process. So teachers must be creative and flexible to make their classes lively, having a sense of humor, and effective, including a variety. Remember, there is no best method. There is no right method. The best of the best is when you are not using one method. The best of the best when you are not using one right method. Okay. So including a variety of tasks and topics can be a source of real motivation of the learner. Variety is the spice of life. Variety is the key to have a successful lesson. Variety is the key to make you a great educator. Variety is the key to help you or to help your students love your way of teaching. Variety is everything. Now, it is also important to remember that your purpose, your objective, goals, aims. So your purpose is not to complete the syllabus, please. Your purpose as a teacher, not to count how many months we still have to complete the syllabus, but to meet your learners' needs. Your purpose is to meet the needs of your learners. Because many teachers, they say, oh, we still have January, February, March, April, June, July. Oh, July the exam. I still have 7 months. Please, no way. Okay. Your purpose is to meet the needs and wants of your learners. I can finish the program in 1 month, but at the end, my learners will learn nothing. Okay, but you have to complete, of course, you have to complete the program, but at the same time, you have to meet your students' needs. If the program is very long, don't focus on details. Don't teach everything. Use techniques to help. And the last one is, do you hear me? Yes, do you hear me, please? Do you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, please. Because some said technical problem, it's hard to listen. Great, so everyone said yes. Good, the last one. You must remember that you are teaching the learners, not blindly following the book or materials. I don't care about the book. I care about the human being. I don't care about the lessons. I care about students. I have got the book. I can adopt the book. Why? To meet my learners' needs. I have got a lot of materials. I don't care about them, but I'm going to use the most effective one. Why? To meet the needs and wants of my learners. So the human being is first, then the material, or then the book. So please focus and focus and focus on meeting the needs and wants of your learners. Is it clear so far, please? Yes, please. Thank you. Now let's play a game. You may feel tired, okay, exhausted. So it's time to have a review, but we are going to play or to have a review using a game, online game. And I know the majority of you know the game's name is Kahoot game. So let's play the game. Let me stop sharing first, then we play the game. It's about reviewing what we have learned. Okay, just 1 second. So let me share again my screen. So this game is called Kahoot game. This is my Kahoot. I'm going to play this game called Approaches and Methods. So let's get started. So let me click on Approaches and Methods. Great. Please use your smartphones or your laptop. I'm going to provide you with the link. Okay, teach here. So let's play it all together. I'm going to have a review using an online game. So please, now you have to type this, www.kahoot.it. All right, then you have 7. Then the code is 7844488. Okay, I'm waiting for you. www.kahoot.it 7844488. Let's see. So we have L, Can. So we have 2 players, 2 participants. Good. We can have more. Jadwan. Great. Yes, please. Hanan, Amin. Lonilla. Susha, Iba. Or Suha, sorry. Great. We did no, just you have to type. If you want to search, you can just type www.kahoot.it. If you want to use your Yahoo, you said www.yahoo.com. It's the same. www.kahoot.com. Ikram, Fatima Zahra, Widad, Abi, Leila, wonderful. Hajar, Iba, Amin, Asma. A lot of participants up to now. So Khan is Karin, Lucy, Makab. Yeah, great. Thank you. Fatima Zahra, we have 2 Fatima Zahras. Great. Redwan or yeah, Redwan, great. Ayuba. Fatima Khtiri, great. Muhammad Bizri, wonderful. Iman, wow, a lot of participants. Shall we get started? Hajar, we have 23 participants up to now. We can have more than 30, 40, 50, 70, or more than 100. Good. So you can use it with small or big classes. Japonica, great. Latifa, Rasha, thank you. Our international participants. Great. I guess we have to get started. All right. So the winner of today's game, will get the certificate for free. Because if you want to get the certificate and the program package, which is PDF books about teaching English and articles, and if you need some help about teaching abroad, you have to pay for 200 Moroccan dirhams. So the first one here, the winner of the game, will get the certificate and the whole course package or packages for free. All right, so 32 participants here. Great. Some of you here saying, please wait, teacher, wait, sir, we want to participate. Okay, I'm waiting. Khadija, Asal. All right. Alanak, I'm sorry if I mispronounced some names. So 33, Hisham Ifram. Great. So if we have 35 participants, we will get started, or we will start. All right. Okay, 34. Great. Muhammad. So 34 participants, 35, and we get started. And I'm sorry for those who couldn't join us on Kahoot. Sarita, okay, 35. So let's get started. Great, so you have to click on the right color, which is about the right answer. So quiz from 1, allowing learners to focus more on communicative competence than linguistic competence. So what's this? You can click quickly, you click quickly on the right answer. So let's see. All right, the first one is Miriam, Ayub, Sarita, Hajar, and Ella. So we put only the 5th ones on the top. Next. So let's see again. Oh, Fatima Zara, number 1, Abi, Hajar, Hasna, Amina. Great, next again. All right, let's see again. Oh, Fatima Zara, C, number 1. Hajar, number 2. Abi, Hasna, Amin. Great. Next. All right, so the right answer is grammar translation. Learners must memorize grammar rules and vocab. Translate again. Great. Let's see. Oh, Hajar is coming back. She's number 1. Hasna, Ubaha number 2. Fatima Zara, Fatima, and Asiya. Great. Next. Cooperative. Yeah, when learners of different levels from small, yeah, it's a group. So this is cooperation, collaboration. So let's see. Oh, bravo, Hajar. You are still on the top. Hasna Ubaha, number 2. Fatima Zahra, Leila L. Great. Next. So it's the inductive. Why? Because teaching grammar in which learners must discover by themselves the rules in context. We provide them with examples, context, paragraphs, presentations, and they have to read the context, and from the context they have to guess the structure and discover the form. Great. So we see. Wow, Hajar is still the leader. Fatima N, Hasna Ubaha, Fatima Zahra, Leila. Great. Next. Great. So it is the deductive. Inductive, we start with examples, then rules. But the deductive, we start with the rules. Then, okay. Great. Let's see. Oh, Hajar is still the president. Great. The leader. Fatima N. Ayub. Wow, there is a man here. Ayub L. Hasna Uba. Next. Yes, so teaching, writing, in which learners are given a model. If you are teaching students how to write a letter, you can give them a sample, a model. This is the letter, the date, the address, the introduction, salutation, the body, the conclusion, signature. So this is what we call it as a product. You are teaching writing as a product, because from the very beginning, we give them the product. You give them the letter. But if you are teaching write as a process, you don't give them the sample, you don't give them the model, but the students themselves write the model or write the letter. So let's see. Is number one. Oh, wonderful. Fatima, Hasna, Ayub. Where is Hajar? Yes, great. Very great great competition. Next. All right, so it's the process. Wonderful. Next. Fatima, Hasna, Leila, Ayub, Latifa is here again. Great. Next one. Students hear the dialogues and the teacher gives comments and students repeat. This is total physical response. Great. So, Hasna, Ubaha, wonderful, number one. Latifa, Fatima, Leila, Ayub, great. Next. It is based on the general assumptions about what language is. Yeah, it's very clear. An approach, you start with a set of assumptions. You assume about the language learning and the nature of language or the theory of language. Great. Next one. So Latifa, number one, great. Hasna, Ayub, Fatima, Leila. Yes. 4 procedures. Yeah, step-by-step measures to execute a method. Wonderful. So let's see. Oh, Ayub is coming back again. Latifa number 1, Ayub, Hasna, Leila, Fatima, and great. Next, the last one. Oh, so let's see who is the winner. The winner of today's competition or game will get the certificate for free. So let's see the winner or the international participant. Here is the winner. So let's see. Oh, number 3, Fatima Anna. Great. Number 2, Yunusa. And number 1, proud of you, the three of you, wonderful, great job. Latifa, Yusuf, Fatima, and so Latifa, please, you can contact me. I will put the WhatsApp group. I'm there, so you get the certificate for a very good job, guys. Proud of you. Okay, just a second. Stop sharing again and share my slides. Yes, please. So thank you and see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's lesson will be about the teacher's roles and the students' different learning styles. Students have got different learning styles. Thank you, you were great, and I really enjoyed your comments, questions, interactions, and I hope that you have enjoyed our session today about approaches and methods, the difference between an approach, a method, procedure, technique, etc. Thank you. Any questions so far? You are most welcome, please. Great. Okay. Okay, thank you. Yes, so some said the live will be saved. Yes, yeah, just go to Facebook page, Coach Hussein Kasiras, and it's there. And tomorrow will be, uploaded on YouTube again. YouTube channel, Trainer Hussein Kasiras. Thank you. Yeah, of course, some of you saying please save the live. Yeah, of course, it will be saved on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. Good, so no questions so far? No comments? Yeah, some of you said concerning the certificate. Yes, please. The training is free, but the certificate is paid. So you can, by the end of the lesson, or sorry, of the course, you will get the certificate. And this is the certificate model, okay? Yes, 16 TEFL course. Okay, and stamped and signed by GBF and the trainer, certified, Cambridge certified trainer. Thank you. See you tomorrow at the same time, 7 p.m. the UK time and 8 p.m. Moroccan time. Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.